You are watching a serious scene. It is super dramatic. A character is finally talking about their dark and tragic past. The music is soft and sad. Tears are welling up in their eyes. You are leaning in, totally hooked. Then, out of nowhere, the camera cuts. It pans down for a sudden, lingering panty shot. Or maybe it's a long, slow zoom on their chest, heaving with emotion, but mostly just heaving. You feel the mood shatter like glass. You sit back and think to yourself, wait a minute, who was that for? That definitely wasn't for the story. Today we're talking about fan service, the parts of anime that exist primarily to make fans happy, whether that's through sexy shots, cool explosions, inside jokes, or cameos. You're in the middle of a mecha war, and the show spends 30 lovingly animated seconds on the robot docking sequence just because the nerds, aka me, in the audience that eat that stuff up. Is fan service always bad? How did it end up so prominent? And what does it look like now that anime has to survive in the age of global streaming and content guidelines? Definitions first, because this word gets used for everything and its robot uncle. Broadly, fan service is any material added mainly to please fans rather than advance the story. Extra moments that exist because the creators know the audience will like them. In anime and manga, that often means sexual or suggestive content, but not only sexual shots, panty shots, cleavage framing, bath onsen scenes. It also includes things like cool factor stuff, extended mecha dock sequences, flashy attacks, fight scenes that go on longer than the plot strictly needs, references and callbacks, cameos, in-jokes, meta-gags aimed at longtime fans, scenes built around shipping and character intimacy that aren't strictly necessary for the main plot. Scholars and critics describe sexual fan service as gratuitous glimpses, brief, titillating shots that don't change the story but reward viewers who are looking for them. At the same time, dictionaries and industry lexicons explicitly broaden it to any entertainingly familiar elements added just to please fans, which covers everything from waifu close-ups to giant robots going pew-pew for 15 extra seconds. Fan service is one of the first words that new anime fans learn. It is usually pretty simple to spot once you know what you are looking for. But here's the thing. It is not always the same thing. It can be a silly joke that makes you giggle. It can be a sexy shot that makes you blush. It can be a long, cool action sequence that makes your jaw drop. It can even be a quiet little wink to old-school fans who have been around forever. The one common thread tying it all together is this. It is put in the show specifically to please the fans. It is made for the viewers who really, really like certain things. So let's break it down. What exactly is fan service? If you ask a bunch of people, you will probably get a bunch of different answers. But at its core, fan service is any element in a piece of media that is not strictly necessary for the plot, but is included to excite, please, or reward the audience. It covers a whole bunch of moments that are designed to give viewers that little jolt of joy, that feeling of being seen and appreciated by the creators. It is a direct nod from the creators to the viewers saying, "Hey, we know you like this, so here you go." It's a little gift, a bonus scene, a specific visual that caters to a known fan desire. It can be as subtle as a glance, or as obvious as a beach episode. The most famous, or maybe infamous type is sexual fan service. This is the one that usually comes to mind first. Panty shots, jiggling chests, gratuitous bath scenes, characters ending up in revealing outfits, camera angles that focus on specific body parts. These shots are designed to be titillating or arousing for a certain segment of the audience. They are often what gives fan service its controversial reputation. It's the visual equivalent of a wolf whistle. Historically, Japanese creators started using the term fanservice for special events and little bonuses, things like athlete meet and greets or stage greetings at concerts. Anime adapted the phrase for service cuts, shots and scenes added specifically to delight viewers. Critics trace anime fan service back to shows in the 70s and 80s where transformation sequences, costume changes, and occasional risque shots were included to spice up TV broadcasts and keep teenage eyes glued to the screen. Commentators note that studios like Gainax became famous partly for this. Not just sexual fan service, but also hyperkinetic action, meta-references, and otaku bait details, all designed as treats for hardcore fans. Analyses of fanservice history point out that things ramped up in the DVD and late-night TV era, when uncensored home video sales and otaku spending became major revenue streams. There was a strong incentive to add more provocative content to sell discs and merch. Video essays note that the early 2000s saw entire shows built around fanservice as the main draw, late-night ecchi comedies where plot existed mostly to connect the next service scene. Industry breakdowns even argue that around the mid-2010s, fanservice content hit a kind of statistical peak before streaming platforms and shifting audience tastes forced things to change. More recent commentary points out a shift. Global platforms have stricter rules about explicit imagery. Audiences outside Japan are more vocal about what they find uncomfortable or lazy, and studios can't rely on DVD-only uncensored versions as easily anymore. Creators responded by toning down some of the most blatant fanservice, getting more creative with suggestion and character reactions instead of raw exposure, and diversifying fanservice beyond male gaze shots, more male bodies, more cool factor, and nostalgia-based service. One video essay sums it up. Fanservice had to evolve from in-your-face to integrated, less random jiggle, more moments that also serve humor, character, or theme. They were a studio made up of otaku making shows for other otaku. They understood what fans wanted because they wanted the same things. Their works mixed sexualized imagery, clever meta-jokes about anime tropes, incredibly detailed mechanical animation, and explosive action sequences. This era established fanservice as a core part of the anime production playbook. It became a deliberate strategy rather than a random bonus. A little bit of service could make viewers feel a personal connection to a show, whether it was a joke only a true fan would get, or a scene that was just plain cool to look at. Fanservice became a language creators used to speak to devoted fans. It was the beginning of a conversation that continues today. Every single latch clicks into place perfectly. The fans in the online forums cheer. They absolutely wanted to see that. That shot, my friends, is also fanservice. It's just a different flavor of treat, made for a different kind of fan. Fanservice is one of those it depends tools. It can absolutely wreck a scene, or it can make it unforgettable. Critics and fans complain about fanservice when it breaks tone, objectifies characters in ways that contradict their personality or arc, or replaces storytelling. Articles describe this as a shortcut to engagement. That's when you get pushback like, this could have been great if it didn't constantly stop to ogle its own characters. On the flip side, there are shows where fan service, sexual or otherwise, adds to the narrative. Outfit designs, transformations, and body language that reflect character identity and themes. Non-sexual fan service like extended mecha battles, highly choreographed fights, or nostalgic callbacks. Discussion threads regularly praise cases where fan service moments feel organic or earned. Critics argue the difference isn't whether fan service is sexual or not. It's whether it's integrated. One of the best ways fan service can help is by building and showing intimacy. It's not just about showing skin, it's about showing trust, vulnerability, and closeness. When a show has spent time developing a relationship, a moment of physical intimacy can feel like a natural and rewarding payoff. It visually confirms the emotional connection that the audience has been invested in. A lighthearted, silly fan service gag can be the perfect way to break tension after a heavy scene, giving the audience a moment to breathe and laugh. On the other end of the spectrum, cool factor fan service can elevate a show's sense of wonder and excitement. A subtle callback to a line from season 1, a surprise cameo from a beloved character from a prequel, or a scene that directly plays into a popular fan theory can make longtime viewers feel incredibly seen and valued. It's a way for the creators to say, we see you, we appreciate your loyalty, and this one's for you. When fan service feels like it comes from a place of genuine affection for the material and its audience, it strengthens the bond between the show and its community. It makes the world feel more real and the experience of watching more special. In the current landscape, fan service hasn't disappeared. It's just more varied and self-aware. Trends analysts point to a few directions: broader appeal, meta fan service, tone-aware fan service. Think of a hot spring or beach episode that doubles as a genuine character bonding break, fight scenes where the fan service is about beautifully animated choreography, or shows that explicitly critique or comment on fan service while using it. Compared to the mid-2000s anything goes era, a lot of mainstream anime today feel less aggressively in your face about it, even if the total amount just changed shape. One of the biggest shifts is a move towards broader appeal. You are just as likely to see the guys with their shirts off as you are to see the girls in bikinis. It's about spreading the love and acknowledging that different people find different things appealing. More and more shows are actively teasing or developing same-sex relationships, from subtle, subtext-heavy interactions to openly romantic storylines. On a technical level, many modern shows use more artistic techniques to create a sensual or suggestive mood. Sometimes, what you don't see is more powerful than what you do. Finally, a lot of modern shows are simply more tone-aware. They are learning to avoid dropping a silly gag in the middle of a traumatic flashback. Instead, they save those moments for comedic scenes and downtime. The goal is to integrate fan service smoothly, making it feel like a natural part of the world. This thoughtful placement makes all the difference, you know. Beyond the visual treats, there's a whole other category of modern fan service that is becoming increasingly popular: meta fan service. This is aimed squarely at the most dedicated hardcore fans. One of the most common forms of meta fan service is the crossover. Another is the cameo. Even standalone shows drop quick visual nods, little Easter eggs. Sometimes a show will include a scene that seems to confirm a popular theory, or it might introduce a mystery that sends fans scrambling to forums to dissect every frame. So, is fan service ruining anime, or just part of how it talks to its audience? Textbook definitions and industry lexicons all agree on one thing. Fan service is about pleasing fans first, story second, sometimes not at all. Critics warn that when creators over-rely on it, but fan service is also baked into how anime expresses affection for its own viewers. Recent analysis suggests the trend isn't going away, it's maturing. Verdict: fan service is a tool, not a genre. As long as anime is made for fans and not for empty rooms, there's always going to be some level of fan service. The real question is whether it's serving the story and the fans, or just itself.